On this lucky and lovely Friday the 13th, Square Enix has recently released their investor report, and much to nobody's surprise, Naoki Yoshida is carrying the team. And there's now even more evidence to suggest that Final Fantasy XVI is coming fairly soon. And you'll want to hit that subscribe button because we cover every little bit of Square Enix and Final Fantasy news. While sales for HD consoles dropped compared to the previous fiscal year 2020, the release of Final Fantasy XIV Endwalker, combined with the significant increase in subscriptions, brought the company's total digital entertainment gross sales to a 6% increase. This put total digital entertainment sales at roughly 279 billion yen. This is actually up from the previous year with the release of Final Fantasy VII Remake, which saw the total sales at 263 billion yen. And this is total sales, so it's not factoring in losses, so that means Avengers isn't part of this equation. All of this is to say that Final Fantasy XIV did insanely impressive. Keep in mind that this happened while they halted sales of the game twice last year. Once because they literally ran out of digital codes, and then they had to shut sales down again because servers couldn't support the influx of new players. Final Fantasy XIV combined with the release of Endwalker brought in 62.2 billion yen for Square Enix's fiscal year. This is a 56% increase from last year, and a record high for MMO sales for Square Enix. Shout out to Audrey for going ahead and doing the math, but that puts the total digital entertainment sales contributed by Final Fantasy XIV at 23.7%. This means that last fiscal year, 1/4 of Square's total video game sales was literally just Final Fantasy XIV. That is how much this game has exploded. Creative Business Unit 3 is absolutely carrying Square Enix right now. But that's not the end of it. Far from, as we still have the latest mainline Final Fantasy title on the horizon, Final Fantasy XVI. We also have some relatively good news regarding the NFT situation, with senior analyst David Gibson saying, quote, Square Enix in results calls said funds raised from Crystal Dynamics and Eidos of 300 million will not be put into NFT. Rather, funds will be used to reinforce core business. NFT will have different finance separate. And that's good to see that they have some common sense left, and that the $300 million will be going to their core business, which is Japanese games. That is good news. The fact that they're still trying to do NFT that's another story. And here is where things look good for Final Fantasy XVI. Square Enix said that this fiscal year, 3/23, it will release several new titles, but year is centered around major franchise. Noted it is the Final Fantasy 35th anniversary. Expect news this month or next. Noted it had seen the Final Fantasy XVI trailer and had high expectations for the title. Again, this game is coming really soon, sooner than any of us are prepared for, and the trailer is indeed coming soon. There seems to be an incredible amount of confidence in Final Fantasy XVI coming from both inside and outside of Square. It's not going to be much longer until we actually get our eyes on the game, and perhaps even more surprisingly, it won't be too long until we get our hands on this game. Between this and Naoki Yoshida seemingly being the only one not enthusiastic about NFTs or the metaverse inside of Square Enix, him and his team continue to prove that they are one of the most trusted teams in video games right now. It gets even more exciting when you think about the future. If Final Fantasy XVI is a massive success, then it stands to reason that the future of the mainline series will be in his hands. And this could also only mean more money being invested into Final Fantasy XIV. We're already seeing this with the graphics overhaul that the game will be getting by the launch of 7.0. And it's likely they will only continue to invest more money in 14 as time goes along. My greatest hope is that they could do something about A Realm Reborn, such as redubbing it and adding more voice acting on top of what's already there, as that part of the game is often universally declared the roughest and least enjoyable. I'm sure those subscription numbers would be even higher if A Realm Reborn wasn't such a barrier to entry. But all in all, the future of Creative Business Unit 3 Final Fantasy looks very bright, minus the about third-party tools. Shout out to patron Alex Thomas and the rest of the Ultima community.